be very selective. Start practicing tomorrow. My heart doesn't want this. My heart wants this. My heart doesn't want this. My heart wants this. You need a full heart want, not want audit. And God needs to hear all of it. Like, to give God the whole laundry list, tell God everything has to go, and then sit back and get a martini and let God do the work. Good morning, my friend, and welcome to Friday. Thank God it's Friday, and it's not just Friday, friends. We are going down the rabbit hole of a multi-dimensional vortex, and it's Love Fest Day. Tell everyone you love that you love them. From my smartphone to yours, keep streaming for your Friday Namaste today. Welcome to Namaste today, a groovy way to start your day, baby. I'm your host and spiritual life coach, Sensei Chris Witecki. I work in the modality of spirituality, and I'm on a mission to use technology to help evolve people into their greatest light. I call it the bright star you really are. Namaste, my friend, and welcome to Friday. It's not only Friday, but it's also Love Fest Day and a vortex, so it looks like things are going to pile up in a crazy way. In fact, the energy is so interesting, it's impossible to predict. So get out your Vicks Vapor Rub and put in a pacifier. We're about to go on an acid trip, my friend. But first, let's take a look at your weekend Zodiac weather. This Zodiac weather is for Friday, September 2nd, 2016. Looking ahead at your 3-day weekend forecast, today is rainbow cloudy and indigo bright as we cross to the eye of the vortex. Tomorrow on Saturday, it's going to be sunny and balanced. And on Sunday, I'm predicting sunny and delightful. But today, it is cloudy and in a vortex. There's just no other way to describe it. Now, the Great Human Walk has reached step 10 Virgo today. That means the ruling channel is channel 10, I manifest. And that means the ruling planet is Earth. So we're actually manifesting this vortex dimensional shift. Now the moon is still nitpicky. We're in the third act now of the moon in Virgo. And our mental focus is still inside out. Mercury is retrograde and is retrograde on top of Jupiter. So in essence, I'm preparing for a holy shift. Expect for a spiritual promotion, demotion, or to have to stay in the same grade. And I'll give you my tips for going down the rabbit hole and doing an acid trip spiritually. But first, grab yourself some tea and let's have a fascinating tea time. Hello, my friend, and welcome to our tea time. Today's tea time topic is psychedelic, and I call it active galactic multiverse. Now, this is kind of some of my personal study. I really like quantum mechanics, just in the sense that I get a kick out of seeing kind of science reach conclusions that I myself personally have reached, but not scientifically. My conclusions came there spiritually, but seeing science start to prove it is so fascinating. I don't know if you're up on quantum mechanics, but, you know, long story short, we had Einstein, and then in the 70s, we tried to create what we call the string theory that would unite all the different really mathematical formulas of quantum mechanics, particularly at that quantum small level. So we've been blasting in electrons and blasting electrons in particle colliders here and in Europe, the bigger one in Europe, trying to find these even smaller subatomic particles that will kind of help science know how is reality put together, how's it all put together. And they're looking for different kind of waveforms or dimensions. So string theory was the beginning of this idea that we're in different dimensions. With string theory came this idea that I think there had to be 6 dimensions for it mathematically to work. All right. Then along came M theory, which is membrane theory. And when M theory came, they realized, no, there needs to be 11 dimensions. And I think when I say by there needs to be dimensions is by the way the math works and with probability and how it works. Now, this all comes from, if you don't know, that, basically science realized, they did this basically experiment where they were trying to detect if light was a particle or a wave. And after doing this experiment for a long time, every time came back the same, that it's either a particle or a wave based on who's watching. And that literally the perceiver is what made the electron appear or not appear. And so it appears that electrons only appear if someone is watching. Okay? So that's a weird thing. That literally shows the interactivity of consciousness and reality. And since that kind of realization that science has had, then they're just like, they're like, well, how does the electron know? Now, of course, they believe that there's some sort of communication going on at the subatomic particle, subatomic level that communicates to the electron to do that. That's what they're kind of looking for, is that whole structure in the multidimension. Now I want to flip channels. So it looks like physics is saying that because electrons can appear and reappear, there's definite science that shows that electron can be in two places at once, or in two dimensions at once. Okay, like at the same time, your dimension and my dimension. That electron can basically, scientifically, prove that electron can be appearing one way for you and one way for me at the same time, which again is this dual ability to kind of manifest reality. But then I read in Conversations with God, which I love that little book series because it really feels like God is talking to you, and it's not religious, but it is spiritual. In that book, God talks about how it is everybody can have free will. And that's always been one of my questions too. God, if we create reality, how does everyone get how does everyone get their own reality? Well, what quantum mechanics is starting to show is perhaps the way we get our own reality is that each person's reality falls on another dimension. And that's what quantum mechanics is starting to see, that there might be billions of copies of Earth in billions of different dimensions, depending on where the electron is in that moment. And basically, we therefore have the possibility to manifest one of billions of dimensions in any 1 second. So in other words, everyone possibly can get it their way. Now, in Conversations with God, the way God described it was kind of like a video game. God said that life is like a video game. Every possibility of where that character can go and do has already been mapped out by the game. The game knows every single thing that can absolutely happen. And human beings, and they all are happening in simultaneous reality, said God. So that would be dimensions, right? You know what I mean? And so basically, whatever the character chooses each lifetime can be a completely different outcome and different experience, but you have the right to choose any path whatsoever. So spiritually, it looks like we live in a state of free will where we can create our reality. That part I've always known and studied since I was a child, thanks to my father and mother and my eclectic upbringing. But now what this is showing is even more fascinating to Sensei, and that is that perhaps since it looks like it's possible that literally, if you want to, like, let's say you have a choice, you can go on the bus or not go on the bus. Literally, if you take the bus, what this is showing is the bus itself is the next dimension. So you switch channels. And your friend that doesn't want to take the bus switches channels to this dimension. And each of the stories continues forward. So in other words, it doesn't really matter which way you take, this way or that way. What's important is the fact that it seems that you have absolute control. So let me give you an example. If I'm starting to question if it's not only possible to say, okay, I want to choose this dimension where everything works out in my life, but I'm starting to think I can also say where everything works out in my life and Bernie Sanders is president. Like, I'm starting to think that maybe we can switch dimensions and go ahead and have. So maybe in my life, in my reality, Bernie Sanders becomes president because I decide that's what I want to experience as soul. I'm taking that dimension, that reality, seeing what that happens. And all my friends will take the Hillary or take the the Trump route or whatever, right? And in each of those cases, I think they get their realities. Trump becomes president in the one where people are spiritually aligned where they belong. If you believe that was going to be the legacy of your life, where a guy like Trump was going to be president, I believe maybe in this multidimensional universe, active galactic, that you can actually go experience that if you know how to switch dimensions at the right time, right? And also, or maybe it's just whatever people truly believe. It's like, there's not even possible dimension shifting. It's like whatever you believe. But what's cool is, I'm starting to realize in my own history that everything really is working out precisely in my life as I thought it would. Precisely. All right? And that tells me, like, I'm starting to believe that everyone can actually have everything they want as soon as they learn to kind of like plug into the matrix and shift the story at each point, because every possibility has already been worked out, including who's president, including all these things. And I believe we just need to master our matrix to maybe get there. All right, that's a psychedelic head trip. Hope you stuck up there with me, because it was kind of out there. But now I'll do something a little more grounded. Take 3 breaths, a sip of tea, and channel for you the Megascope, which in essence is my guidance for you over this weekend as we go through this shift. Okay, I heard like a crow in the background, some bird chiming in. So this is actually going to be kind of a weird, peaceful weekend, is what Spirit is showing me now. It is also a holiday in the United States, so it's a 3-day weekend, and that adds to the bizarre for us Americans. I don't know, some people say Americans are lazy, but we actually work a lot. We're forced to work a lot. It's not just our debt, it's our cost of living. So whenever we get 3 days in a row all together off, the whole country just like goes into a zone, like, because it's just so not our way. So, you know, we're all set up here to kind of go through a little bit of a zone. But what Spirit was showing me is it's a very quiet passage. And it's almost like, I guess the best example to share is, you know, I don't know if you've ever had the luxury of going on a real vacation. And when I say real vacation, I mean somewhere that is magical, somewhere that you didn't worry about money, somewhere that you could completely unwind and just not care about anything in the world. I've always heard that quote, but now that once I've had those times, I'm like, oh my God, it's nothing like it. Maybe like having summers off when you were a kid. But in that quiet, in that quietest space of who you are, sitting there in the lawn chair, staring at the water, not even remembering the last thing you said, it's in that very quiet little moment that you'll find you make a decision that you want something. And that's what Spirit showed me, that the real powerful shift is in the tiniest, most quiet moment. All right, but I have some guidelines to help you here to prepare for a holy shift. And I believe we'll have a spiritual promotion and holy shift in the next 36 hours. Step 1, put your life in the full upright position. Now, I come up with that with Black Lilith. Black Lilith is holding space at step 11 Scorpio. And that literally means it's time to not allow fear or anything in your life to pull you back in this dimensional shift. Sit up straight in everything you spiritually know, your life in the full upright position. Step 2, keep your hands and feet in at all times. And this means don't interfere with the vortex. In other words, if you see something going down, you may not want to interfere. It's better to observe and to let the universe do the work and do the shifting. It is not up to you to do the shifting. Hands and feet in at all time. And step 3, no refunds. Mercury is retrograde right now, which means that this is a dimensional shift, and there is no turning back. Whatever happens, accept and don't fight. And sometimes people go through lower vibration dimensional shifts in the sense that they walk in on someone who's lied or cheated or something negative or lower, if that's where they were and they're going to go up. The first step of that dimensional shift is there's no turning back. Don't try to turn it back. You can't change it now. Things have changed forever in most cases. And so accept, no refunds, accept the dimensional shift. Now, for those who are watched over my personal Sensei service, today I'm going to help you in your pep talk with something I call resistance is futile. And this really has to do with surviving a change and how to survive a major transformation in your life, spiritually like this. And also for those watched over at 3 o'clock for your eye candy, I'm going to give you my 1-year prediction of what the vortex will bring. So I'm predicting certain spiritual shifts. I'll tell you what I predict for you at 3 o'clock. Now, for those who are watching on YouTube, please be kind and do subscribe. And if you'd like to follow me on Twitter, you can follow me on the handle of CWateki. And if you'd like to know more about the bright star that you really are, come on down to SeriousJoy.tv. It's a community of light, and it's also a personal Sensei service that uses artificial intuition technology to be by our side. Find out more at SeriousJoy.tv. All right, my friend. Oh, and one last thing. since it's a 3-day weekend. For people who are subscribed or people who want to subscribe to Serious Joy, the September Megascopes are now live. And the first part of the Megascope, which is a monthly prediction, talks about precisely what I think this dimensional shift will be. And I'll give that for you, of course, your sun sign and your rising. Megascopes are live. All right, friend. Well, I will not be on the air on Monday since I'll take that American holiday, but I will come back to say hello on Tuesday. So have a fantastic holy shift, and Sensei will see you on the other side. Remember, I love you, and live, love, be.